The trestles are in place. It's all ready to rock and roll on the front roof. There were a few overhanging branches, so I sort of butchered them prior to making a start on the roof. And as I was saying on an earlier video, there were already tons of branches left in the garden from when the house went up for sale. And there you go, that's probably the clearest you've seen the front roof for quite a while. And there were branches right over the porch, and not too far away from, in fact, from the chimney stack on that side as well. And obviously the branches had caused a bit of damage to the old zinc guttering, which is beyond repair. So that'll be going down to the scrap merchants. Get a couple of quid for that. So looking forward to make the start on this front roof, because the hardest part, I believe, was the rear roof, and that's done now. So it's time to have a go at this one. It's slightly steeper, the pitch, but I've also got an opportunity to actually put a proper bell cast onto the front and the bottom of the roof, because there's already some timbers that have been put in on the eaves. You can just see them there. They're in a very poor state, but that's sort of given a bit of shape to the front roof. So here we go. Already started taking some tiles off and then set the camera up. I went on to double speed on this one so that you're not just watching an old boy faff about with tiles for hours on end. So the principle here is, take the tiles off, quickly scrape them, use one tile against the other, get any moss or whatever off, verify that they're good enough tiles to keep, and if they are, then stack them, and if they're not, chuck them. So there'll be a few coming your way. This roof, I think we already estimated, is around about just shy of 3,000 tiles overall. So depending on the amount of damage to the tiles here, if we lose 10%, that's going to be 300 or so tiles we're going to need to take from the barn area. So there's plenty of tiles there on that rear section. We've already done. We already used some for the rear roof of the house. So I normally, once I've taken a small section off, I can step up into the building and just work from rafter to rafter. Generally the rafters, these haven't been particularly set out well as such, but they're around about 45 centimetres apart, anything between 40 and 50 centimetres apart, which is anything from 16 inches to about 20 inches centred. A bit banana shaped, one or two of them, so one or two will have to be replaced, as was the case with the rear roof. And it's just stacks. And what I will do here is, all these ones are being stacked here, invariably will end up being the final set of tiles going in on the right hand side of the roof. I've decided on this section I'm going to leave an opening between two of the rafters near to the chimney stack, which will allow me to get in and out, and I will close it up right at the last knockings. So it means I'll have to cut my batten and stuff to suit, just to close at that bit. But it's easier because I'm not having to, if I take the tiles off, second the tiles off, and then membrane it and then batten it, I've got no way of getting at the tiles that have been stored in the loft. It was slightly different with the rear roof because I had the Veluxes going in, so I knew I always had openings. There's only one roof window that's going to be going in here, and it's going to be going in on the right hand side of where I'm currently working. So that will be a small window for the front bedroom to the right of the house. I'm hoping to get 3 bedrooms in that loft area, and also a shower room, salle de douche. but we'll have to see. I haven't actually done the planning on it yet. I've just had a quick look. I had a bit of a look at the measurements. You'd comfortably get 2 bedrooms, 2 big bedrooms, and a shower room. But if I can squeeze a 3rd bedroom in, I'd like to do that, just because I always find 3 bedroom houses are just the better, because everybody's accommodated. If you've got a family and you've got boys and girls, then mum and dad have got a room. The girls have got a room. The boys have got a room. And what your thoughts are on that? But so I was speaking to the neighbour who lives across the way, and he was saying, because he was saying when I bought it, so it's a small house. I said, yeah, but look at the loft. It's enormous, and you've got the more or less the same amount of room upstairs that you've got downstairs, because the pitch of the roof is so high. So I said to him, he said to me, how many bedrooms do you think you're going to get in there? And I said, I'd like to put 3 in and a shower room. So I said, well, and how many bedrooms have you got in your house? And he said, well, we've got two in a bathroom. So, effectively, you're going to double the size of the living accommodation by converting this, what was just a loft, into a really nice three bedroomed house. Well, that's my hoping on it. And just a question of organising the opening for the staircase, and also organising an opening, which will come at the end of this video, an opening through from where the staircase is to the 1st bedroom to the other 2 bedrooms, because there is a door opening at the moment, but it's only about 5 foot tall, or about 1.5 metres high. And the amount of times I've knocked my head on it, it's unbelievable. I know you should be wearing a hard hat. Or even if you had hair. If you've got hair, obviously, if you've got hair, you've got like an early warning device. A millisecond before you're about to hit it, your hair touches it and you can feel it. When you're bald, you don't have that. So the only time you realise you've hit something is when you've hit something. And I've cracked my head so many times going through that. You think, you bend down to go through it, and you think, right, I'm through it now. I'll raise my head up and bump. So there you go. So the new opening will obviously be a minimum of 2 meters high, which will allow for a new doorway in there. It will lose a corner, just because I don't want to impact too much on the old A-frame that is the formation of that center wall. But I can take a section out, I think, fairly comfortably without it losing its integrity. So here I am taking off the tiles, and then what you do is, I tend to find that the battens that they put on normally are only battened between 3 rafters at a time. So they obviously had quite shortish length of about, what, 1.5 meters or less than that. So again, someone was asking, because when I did the rear roof, I was using 4 meter length, so I didn't have any cuts, and I was running them right the way up the rafter. And somebody asked, was that a good idea? Shouldn't I be staggering the and well, really, in real terms, you probably should be staggering, but I don't think it makes a vast amount of difference. And on here, they've gone all the way up every three rafters. They've joined up every 3 rafters all the way up there. And obviously, this roof has stood the test of time. So I don't believe it's going to be too much of an issue. I was quite keen to get up as high as I could here, sort of at least head height, because I'm working out that that's possibly going to be 2 to 3 sheets of membrane lengthwise. And obviously the weather at the moment is back to being kind again. We haven't had any rain for a couple of days. And for the next couple of days, there's none forecast. So, but it's always as well just to try and close up as you go, just in case there's a shower that comes in that nobody anticipated. What I'm also doing here is just on these rafters, you tend to get the old rusted nails that sort of stay in place when you take the batten away. So I just sort of scrape down with the hammer, the claw hammer, and it tends to just snap off the rusted nails. You're not going to pull them out ordinarily just because once they're stuck into an oak beam, they're not wanting to move, and they're quite badly rusted just at the point where it meets the timber. So generally, it's easy just to snap them off with sort of rubbing the climber up and down against the rafter, and then just give them a bit of a tap just to get any dust off and just to wake up the woodworm that's in there. What I'll be doing once the roof is done is using a woodworm treatment over all the old timbers, just to make sure that if there is anything still living within, it'll sort of get rid of those. And ordinarily, once you have a heated house anyway, you tend not to get problems with stuff like that because they prefer sort of cold, damp conditions rather than dry, warm conditions. So that should resolve that issue. And then I'll be looking to take off all, like I said, I'll take the old plaster and stuff off the walls currently, because that just attracts humidity like a sponge, and revert back to the old style of sort of cob inlays in between the joists downstairs. And in this upstairs area here, what's going to be the new bedrooms, obviously there'll be a little bit of plasterboard involved, just because it's easier just to form the new rooms. I will have a lot of metal rail that will be taken off from the kitchen ceiling, which will be usable. And there's also got a few timbers that they use as well when they redid the ceiling in the kitchen. Over the years, obviously, this house had been looked after. It wasn't like it just left to rack and ruin. Sadly, the guy that sort of ended up dying in it, I think towards the end, he did less and less and less. But overall, you can, when you look around, there's lots of things that were done to the house to improve it, and to maintain it. And obviously, the roof over a period of many, many years has had various repairs. So every so often you come across a sort of a brand newish um, engineered tile sitting in pretty ugly, really. There's nothing to them. There's no character to them. But obviously, a few of the rafters also had been replaced or turned over, and reused that side. I think I'm now chatting to yeah, I'm chatting to one of the guys there. I think the guy decided to have a bit of a bike ride today. So it's nice that people always stop and say hello and just ask how you're getting on. And it's a very nice little community that's there, considering there's only a couple of 300 people that live in the town, and the section of town that I'm at, which is sort of the higher part, there are something like 15, 16 houses, and quite a few of those are actually just holiday homes, French Parisian holiday homes. Um, so I've got neighbours that live there permanently. I've got one, two, three, four that live permanently, and then we've got the guy that's come up from Spain, but he's talking about selling. So invariably there'd be it would become another second home for a Parisian, or maybe a younger couple might buy it. And there are younger couples in the area. There's what's quite nice here is the French take care of the schooling side of it, as far as there will be transport, even if there's only one kid in your town that's going to the college or school. They call sort of the primary schools colleges. Um, so every morning when I pass around about 7:30 in the morning, I see the guy there sitting in his van waiting for the solitary child that's going to be taken. Obviously, he's going to go through other towns as well. He's going to pick up other kids on the way through, but it's a lovely way of looking after the kids and making sure they all get to school safely and get home from school safely. And that leaves mum and dad free to do whatever they're doing, as most women these days tend to work. So, that's another thing taken care of. So so there are some young couples in the town. Obviously, it's an aging population here, as it is in a lot of rural France. But everybody's kind of quite active. What else to say? Just a short note on the guys that were clearing out the barns for me, the guys that said they would help clear out. They actually came across a round of ammo from a pistol, and he said, "Oh, have you found a pistol here?" And I said, "No, not at all. Other than the sort of the ornamental one that I found with the two swords." So he said, "Well, it's live ammo." He said, "You could, if you want, you can just bury it in. If you're going to be doing any concreting, you can bury in concrete." And I thought, well, that's a bizarre bizarre way of dealing with the live ammo. I said, "Shouldn't I speak to the gendarme about it, the police?" And he went, "Oh, if you do that, they're going to come round. They're going to have a right all shifty around and all the rest of it." And then I said, "Hang on a minute. My neighbour across the way, he does the chasse. He does the hunting. Um, I could ask him." And he said, "No, no." He said, "I'll go and have a quick word with him." So he went and saw him. And my neighbour said, "Yeah, don't worry, I'll take care of it. He can discharge it safely." And he's got his firearm certificate and all the rest of it. So, but I haven't come across a pistol in here. And I think more or less everything now has been discovered that is like to be discovered. So unless it's really, really well hidden, I don't know what the story is about that. Was about that, but yeah, alive. And it was modern as well, because I was saying, would it be from like the Second World War? He went, no, no, it's all. This is modern. This is in the last sort of whatever 20 years, and the way the casings are. So anyway, a little bit of gossip for you there. Getting back to the roof, so again, just scraping back, getting rid of the old nails. I don't want to be snagged by a rusty nail at my age, because it could give you a nasty infection. So taking care of that. Obviously, I'm wearing my gloves as well. I work my way across a few sections there, and I'll just continue my way across the rest of the roof while it's nice, and hopefully get some covering on it later on, so that it's free from the elements. And like I said, I will be keeping the right hand side. There will be one section between the two rafters open, and I can use that to get in and out, and close it up right at the last knockings. So going back to what we were talking about earlier, the eaves, the timbers have been cut. I've started cutting timbers for the eaves. These are the bits that are added on to the rafters to give it this sort of bell cast shape, just so that it throws up the roof slightly at the bottom, which apparently makes it slows down the rain flow into the gutters. But as you can see, these are absolutely knackered. What with the amount of humidity they've gone through anyway, and the ivy attacking them and everything else. So it'd be nice to see those replaced as well, and have the front sections all nice and new in treated timber. So like I said, I had started cutting those, and I can apply those, get them on probably maybe tomorrow, once I've cleared this full front section off. There's something like 21 pieces that need replacing, but I've got a great little tool for doing that, so that's easy enough to do. And then just to finish the video, just going back to this opening, to this door opening, I had sort of marked it out in a red felt pen, and I thought, oh, that'll show up really well. But clearly it doesn't show up fantastically well. So then I found there's like a little app I can use on my phone. It's a bit it's a bit like a 2-year-old's done it, but what I've done is just marked it around in a yellow marker pen, which will be coming up shortly, so you can actually see what I'm talking about. And that's the bit that I've knocked my head on umpteen times. Why on earth they made it 5 foot tall, I've no idea. So anyway, so there you go. So that will be the new opening, and I'll close up the other opening, and I'll put a little brace in. Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. I hope you found this enjoyable, and see you soon.